My name is Lauren. Sorry about that. A little bit of technical difficulties on our end. My name is Lauren Wagner, and I am the Business Development Manager here at VolunteerMatch. I'm going to be helping to facilitate the session today, but first I wanted to go through a few housekeeping items. So we're going to have some time at the end of the presentation to ask questions to our presenter. So during the presentation, you can actually submit those questions as we go along. So there are two different ways that you can do that. The first is by using the chat box on the right side of your screen, and the second is through Twitter. So you can actually tweet to us at VM_solutions using the hashtag VMBPN. And then at the end of the presentation, we'll be able to pose those questions to the presenter. Also, just as a reminder for everybody on the call, that we're going to be circulating a copy of the slides and also a recording of the live event to everybody who's joined this morning. So today we're excited to bring to you one of our favorite cause marketing experts, Joe Waters. Joe is the voice and the brain behind the cause marketing blog, selfishgiving.com. And he is going to be talking with us about why cause marketing is such an important investment for any company and how you can get started with picking the right cause and the right partner for your programs. But first, I'm going to hand the presentation over to Robert Rosenthal, who is our own Vice President of Marketing and Communications here at VolunteerMatch, to get us started. Good morning, Robert.
Good morning, everyone, and thanks, everyone, for joining us. VolunteerMatch is the web's largest volunteer engagement network, and we produce this series of webinars specifically to engage broader conversations around issues of technology, corporate involvement, nonprofit and corporate relationship, and of course volunteer engagement. Cause marketing is a small but growing portion of the partnerships that we're facilitating for our corporate clients. And when I look at the 170 or so companies that we support, whether it's REI, BMW, Mini, or Coca-Cola, I'm seeing lots of interest these days in engaging consumers to make a difference in their community around volunteering, specifically in certain cause areas. The idea of giving time as part of a consumer marketing campaign is a relatively new phenomena, and it's much less well understood than the area of expertise that today's guest, Joe Waters, brings. Joe is one of the, probably the top expert that we know in cause marketing. He, in addition to being a very effective and busy blogger at selfishgiving.com, was also the author of Cause Marketing for Dummies, as well as being a longtime practitioner in the nonprofit field of cause marketing. One of the things that Joe is very well versed in is all the different ways that companies and brands are engaging consumers to give money. I'm hoping at some point later on today we'll talk a little bit about the process of engaging consumers to give time, which is really our specialty. But the key thing about today's presentation is that Joe's going to talk about the fundamentals of cause marketing for an audience. So Joe, I want to welcome you to the webinar today, and I know this is not your first time. It's great to have you back.
Well, thanks for having me, Robert. I really appreciate it.
So with that, Joe, I know that you've got a lot to share today. Why don't we turn it over to you, and you can get rolling.
Very good. Back here to the thing. Thanks, Robert. Appreciate the introduction. And it's good to have everyone aboard today to talk about cause marketing. I did want to mention that Robert is correct. I am the blogger behind selfishgiving.com. And one of the things I want to mention about Selfish Giving that I think will be useful to you is everything I talk about today is on my blog. Because it's one of those things, I see, then I write, and then I speak. And so everything that you're going to hear today are things that you can find on my blog. And the easiest way to search my blog is actually on Google. And go out to Google, type in selfishgiving.com, put in a colon, and then put what you're looking for, and it will bring up all the articles associated with that topic area. So there are over 900 posts on selfish giving, so there's lots of information there for you. And of course, if you would like that, my blog in a print format, that would take you up to about August 2011, Cause Marketing for Dummies is available. And that was a really fun project to write and to be asked to do. They wanted, Robert, they wanted a real idiot, they said, for Cause Marketing for Dummies. So they, I think I fit the bill, so, but that was a fun project.
When you started Selfish Giving, when was that?
That was 2004.
So how many other bloggers were out there sharing ideas on the web about cause marketing?
Well, more than you think. But, I mean, there are people like Chris Brogan and other people out there that can brag that they've been blogging since 1997.
Incredible.
Yeah, it is. It's really incredible how long blogging, and, back then it was kind of known more as journaling or other words that they used to describe it. But 2004 is pretty good. And always wanted an outlet to write, and blogging gave me that.
Great.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the agenda today, and what we'll accomplish is we're going to talk a little bit about what is cause marketing, because I want to make sure that you're clear on that. My definition sometimes differs from other people's definitions, so I want to be clear. The next thing we're going to talk about is the business case for cause marketing, okay? And we're going to talk about those 2 points together because I want to make sure that you agree with me that cause marketing is something that every business should have. It should be part of every business's marketing mix. The third thing we're going to talk about is how do you pick a cause? I'm amazed the number of businesses that don't feel passionately about a particular cause and are looking for a cause to partner with, and I have some suggestions for you on that. Then I'm going to talk about 3 ways to get started with cause marketing, really easy, simple ways that can tap into existing resources that you already have. And then at the end, and then throughout my presentation, I'll be referring to free resources, things that you can take advantage of, because I do have so much content out there on cause marketing. This is something that you should really take advantage of. So let's start by talking about what is cause marketing. So cause marketing for me is a partnership between a nonprofit and a for-profit for mutual profit. Now, some people think that cause marketing is the marketing of causes, which I guess in some way it is. And some people think that anything related to corporate giving is cause marketing. But what I say is that it is a partnership between a nonprofit and a for-profit for mutual benefit. So the idea here is that cause marketing is win-win and work-work. Both partners win from the partnership, the for-profit as much as the nonprofit, but there's also a lot of work involved for both partners. This isn't about a nonprofit coming to you and picking up a check. And this isn't just about you writing a check to a nonprofit. There's a lot more involved. And
I'm going to interrupt you from time to time, and I hope that's okay. It's not
go right ahead.
I had a quick question for you. I've heard some experts mention in the past that cause marketing is first and foremost marketing. Do you agree with that?
I really do, because, it's kind of funny. I think most philanthropy in one way or another is win-win in marketing. But cause marketing in particular, I think, is, you cannot have, it's almost like the marketing should come first in cause marketing, because I do think that's what people use it for and how it's perceived by corporate audiences. The only ones who really see it differently is the nonprofit sector. They see it as an extension of philanthropy, and it's really not, Robert.
Yeah, great,
Yeah.
thanks.
Yeah, sure. And, a great example of a cause marketing partnership is Starbucks and Product Red. They have been working with each other for a number of years. You can go into Starbucks stores and still find purchase-triggered items, which means a portion or percentage of the sale goes to Product Red. And, of course, on World AIDS Day, which I think is the first week of December, they donate 5 cents from every drink. You can only imagine how many drinks Starbucks makes in one day, but we're talking about millions and millions of dollars going to Product Red. That's just one example of a cause marketing partnership. So let's talk a little bit about how this works, how cause marketing works. So on the left side here, you have the nonprofit, and of course they work with the for-profit. But what's different here is that the for-profit reaches out to their consumers, their shoppers, their employees on behalf of the nonprofit to raise money. So think about how this is different from sponsorship. In sponsorship, a business writes a check to a nonprofit. The nonprofit promotes the business at their event or program, right? So they get exposure to their donors. This is the absolute opposite here. Now the opportunity though, which I always argue, is that there is a lot more money and a lot more opportunity with the companies, consumers and employees and shoppers than there is with the nonprofits, donors, and supporters. Okay, just by nature of the business. Think about it. You know, of course, Product Red has a lot of people that they're connected with, but think about all the people that Starbucks are connected with. And what I always tell nonprofits, and what I always believe for for-profits too, is you'll always raise more money from your consumers than a company could write in a check to a nonprofit. Okay, because when we're talking about especially mid-sized businesses, small businesses, giving money to nonprofits, your checkbook can only go so far. It can only have so many zeros. But when you work with your consumers to raise that money, you can raise that much more. Now, a lot of people ask me, they say, you know, Joe, okay, I understand what a nonprofit gets out of this. They get money, they get visibility, they get awareness. What's the for-profit get out of this? Well, what they get, and we'll talk about this a little bit more in a minute, is they get a halo. They get favorability. So while other forms of marketing that you're taking advantage of give you visibility in the marketplace, cause marketing is one of the few things that can give you favorability. It gives you a competitive edge that goes beyond product and price. Okay, that's something that's really important about cause marketing. And here's the truth about cause marketing right now. Everybody wants me on their sandwich. Okay, cause marketing is something that every business, especially big businesses, but it's trickling down to mid-size and small businesses, every company wants to do this. And I think this is fascinating because when I was out there pitching cause marketing packs 10 years ago, I had explained to people what cause marketing was. These days, I don't have to explain what cause marketing is. In a lot of instances, it's about convincing a for-profit to adopt another nonprofit as their pet project, as a cause marketing partner, whether they get rid of someone or whether they add an additional partner to the program. So,
hey, Joe, what does that slide mean? Everybody wants you on their sandwich. Like, who's the me? Is that just a nonprofit person talking?
Well, I think, you know, I think if you rank them, Robert, I think it's businesses more than ever seeing the value of cause marketing.
Got it.
Consumers are expecting cause marketing more than ever, and as we'll see, especially young people and moms, a key demographic. And nonprofits are better than ever, more than ever, starting to see the opportunity of working with businesses. Because what we'll argue with nonprofits too, Robert, and I bet you do this with your business, is that when you do cause marketing and you work with a business, it just doesn't raise you money from the business. It gooses all other types of giving for that nonprofit. So business giving can be a driver for a lot of other types of giving, especially individual giving.
That's a great point. Thanks, Joe.
Yeah. So I think that, so when we look at cause marketing and the opportunity here, right? Consumer expectation of companies are at an all-time high. Now you can go, you'll have these slides. You can go through these statistics, and I should say too, all of the statistics that you'll see today, they come from Cone Communications, a Boston-based cause agency, and they have tons of research on their site, which you can access for nothing but giving your email address. And one of the things that they found is that 64% of consumers said that they would pay more for a brand because it supports the cause. That's how important it is to them. And that's how important they think it is for a company to engage with the cause. Again, let's look at something else here. Consumers want cause marketing. 90% of consumers want companies to tell them the ways they are supporting the causes. And I'll tell you, folks, I have seen this no more than this past couple weeks here in Boston since the bombing of the Boston Marathon, where so many businesses not only want to step forward, but have to step forward and support the victims because of consumer expectations that they will support those people and they will play an active role in, in the aftermath of the disaster up here. Now, what we know with cause marketing, which is really interesting here, is how strong it is with moms and millennials. I mean, folks, look at these numbers. 95% of moms find cause marketing is acceptable. Oh, by the way, versus 88% for the average. So, I mean, when we look at the statistical evidence on cause marketing, it's very high, especially with key demographics. I mean, who doesn't want to target women? Who doesn't want to target moms? And, of course, we have a good generation of consumers and millennials, but they're the next generation of moms that are going to be buying products, too. So this taps in to, two very key audiences. And what we know from cause marketing, too, is everybody is approving of cause marketing. Not just moms, not just millennials, but also men, which the statistical information is in the 80s percentiles, and also diverse audiences, especially Hispanic populations, are equally supportive of cause marketing. So this is everyone is favorable of cause marketing. Now,
hey, Joe,
yeah, go ahead.
Question came in, sorry to interrupt, the question came in asking about those cone numbers, whether that was U.S. only. If I remember, that was U.S. only.
Yes, it is. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, it is U.S. only. I mean, when, you know, it's also a quick sidebar, Robert, to mention too, where cause marketing. I mean, outside of North America, you know, cause marketing is taking off in a number of places. We obviously see it a lot in the United Kingdom. We see it a lot in Australia. It's really started to take off in Brazil, in India. David Hessekiel, who runs Cause Marketing Forum, just came back from China, and he said while there are some bubblings over there of cause marketing, it's going to take a long time before it takes root over there. Okay. So most of the information that we have here is from North America.
Thanks.
So we've talked about what is cause marketing, and I hope I've made a decent business case. And when you see some of that additional evidence, too, on cause marketing, you'll see, and not only Cone publishes good information on that, folks. Edelman is another good organization that has research on cause marketing. They're an agency based out in New York. And then also Barkley, which is based in Kansas City. And, you know, there's an R in there somewhere, B-A-R-K-L-E-Y. They're a great agency in Kansas City, and they've also done some research into this, specifically around men in cause marketing. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is, you know, how do you pick a cause? You know, how do you pick a cause to get involved in if you're a business and you're interested in doing cause marketing? Well, the first thing you want to do, the caveat I want to add here, is that if you are passionate, if you care about something, that is the cause that you want to focus on with your business. I don't care whether it's releasing the pandas. I don't care whether it's saving the penguins, sending kids to video gaming camp. What I believe is that whenever you are really passionate about a cause, a true cause, that you can share with your customers and your employees, there is a power in that that transcends everything. Okay, so one of the things I want to emphasize with picking a cause is if you feel really wedded to a particular cause or you feel really passionate about a cause, that's what you want to focus on. Now, that being said, a lot of people don't feel wedded to a cause. They don't feel extremely passionate about something. So a lot of businesses turn to me and they say, well, Joe, if that's the number one criteria, what's the number two criteria? And what I always say is you should focus on a cause with loyalists. Now, what that means is that you want to choose a cause that has an army behind it, because these are the people that are going to be supporting your business and coming into your business because of your relationship with this cause. Okay, and that's where you have to do your homework a little bit to find out which causes people support. And we know something in this country, that we know that the number one causes people support are women's causes, followed by children's causes, followed by pet causes, and believe it or not, men come in fourth in terms of the causes. I actually talked to someone at Movember, the folks that raise money for prostate cancer for men, and they said they're really trying really hard to get above the dogs in terms of the rankings.
Hey Joe, let me ask you a quick question on this. Didn't we say earlier that one of the key things that nonprofits get is exposure to new audiences, to the
Absolutely. Yep.
But here we're talking about companies picking a cause partner that already has their own army of loyalists.
Yeah.
I think for some people they get a little bit confused about this. Can you explain a little bit about how the army of loyalists that a nonprofit may already have is different from the army of consumers that a brand may already have? How does
and I think, you know, I think the really important thing here, too, is with a nonprofit, when they have existing supporters, that's a whole new audience that you can tap into. I mean, that's what's interesting, I think, about causes too, Robert, is there are a lot of nonprofits out there, and they do good work, but I wouldn't describe them as having ardent supporters, people that are really willing to line up and support the cause. I mean, one of the things we know, I mean, in many ways, Robert, all of us are sick of pink products in October, but the reason why we see so many pink products is because people buy them. Right? When we turn, Campbell Soups, they sell pink cans of soup, and when the Yoplait has their pink yogurts for breast cancer survivors, people buy more products, they buy more things when they're highlighted in pink. So, I mean, what you're tapping into, too, is a group of people that are passionate about this cause, and you want that passion to extend to your company brand.
Yeah, so I think what you're saying is that the halo effect comes not only from your own consumer audience if you're a brand, but also it's generated by this army of nonprofit loyalists seeing your brand in a new way.
Yeah, that's right. And, because credibility is in the person, it's not in the product. So I mean, and favorability is something that's, that's in the consumer, it's in the person. And so, that's something that's really important. And that's what a lot of these people are trying to tap into, is they're trying to tap into that same type of passion that people have for their cause.
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah, so I think that's one of the things that you have to do some research on, is you have to look into these organizations and find if they have events or they have a Facebook page or they have an email newsletter list, how many people are engaged with them? How what is the engagement like on their Facebook page? How many people did they have come to their walk last year? How many people can they count in their database? So you need to do that exploring. In most instances, you're going to have a pretty good idea right away which causes have the best audiences for you to focus on. But if you're looking for results from your cause marketing, the best place to start is with a strong organization that has a good group of loyal supporters. The second thing in terms of how to pick a cause, and so some people will say, well, I'm really interested in this organization, maybe they don't have the biggest group of loyalists in the world. What else are you looking for? Well, one of the things I look for is for an organization that has a strong emotional message. So what I argue here is if you're working with an organization that may not have a big loyal audience that you can tap, at least they have a strong emotional message that resonates with your consumers. Now, that doesn't mean they couldn't bring some people into your business and support it, but at least be successful in marketing to your own businesses. That's something that you can control, and your best type of cause to focus on there is one that has a strong emotional connection. So what we're looking at, let's go back to what people support. They're supporting women's causes, they're supporting children's causes, and they're supporting pets' causes. So we know anything with a pulse generally has a lot of support from people and can get people really engaged and feeling emotional and engaged with the cause. So that's something that's really important. So you have, first thing is pick someone that you care. Second thing is focus on loyalists. Third, focus on a strong emotional message. And then here's the one that everyone focuses on, folks. And I have all these matching outfits here for a reason, because most cause marketing actually focuses around what I call granular cause marketing. Okay? And what that means is because a brand thinks that they're a restaurant, that they have to work with a food bank. Now, there's a lot of good reasons why they should, but I think the other things I mentioned, causes that you care about, causes that have a strong, loyal population, causes that have a strong emotional message, those things are much more important than this like perfect match. And I'll give you an example of this. And this is not to be critical of this particular program, but Vitamin Shop, which has chains, stores across the United States, works with a group called Vitamin Angels. And that makes a lot of sense for those two organizations, right? As a matter of fact, I thought Vitamin Angels was part of Vitamin Shop. I thought maybe it was their foundation or something. It turns out that it's part of their organization, which is great. But the challenge is that a lot of businesses begin with the idea, well, we do this, we should focus on that. That's not always the case, because I would put what you care about and loyalty of an audience and the size of it, and a strong emotional message before that. Now, ideally, what you want is you want something that has all those things, something that you care about. You care about hunger. You look at, you have a strong, loyal audience, and say an organization like Share Our Strength, which is a DC-based organization, and they have a strong group of loyalists that support them. It's a strong emotional message because they're focusing on No Kids Hungry, and it's a perfect alignment for your business because you're a restaurant chain. Okay, so generally we can get all four of them right, but in some instances we only get a couple, and lead with the ones that I identified at the top.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
How often does this, this is a complicated alchemy you're talking about here. A lot of things have to come together. How often does this happen because a company or brand says, we have this idea. We're going to go find a nonprofit and pitch to them. Or how often is it the nonprofit coming to a brand saying, we really think we could help you come up with a great marketing program? Well, which direction does this usually go?
I think it's 50-50, Robert. You know what I mean? I think it's, sometimes as businesses, the type of business that I worked in, I worked for a safety net hospital in Boston. I had a lot of businesses knocking on my door, so I had to reach out to a lot of businesses to sell them on the program, and we're seeing more nonprofits do that. That being said, caring businesses and businesses that recognize the value of cause marketing, they're the ones picking up the phones and calling nonprofits. And I think because of the growth of cause marketing, more than ever, businesses are reaching out to nonprofits and looking for that strategic fit. In terms of what they can do and stuff like that. And, a lot of times too, Robert, and you're right in the sense like, what we have is kind of a formula here, but it can be complicated for people because, I'll sit down with a business owner and maybe they feel strongly about a cause, but they don't feel really strongly about a particular cause. So we'll say, well, if you don't feel, if you feel strongly about this cause, let's look at the different organizations that focus on this issue. And let's pick one, let's pick the strongest one that has the most loyalists to it. And we'll kind of work our way down the list. Whereas if you sit down with, some business owners that say, I really care about childhood cancer and I want all my funds to focus on St. Jude. Then, it's easy what they're doing in the direction. And one thing I did want to mention to people as a resource, and I'm going to jump off the presentation, is on my blog, as I mentioned, I have about 900 posts, over 900 posts now. And there is a post on there called How to Choose a Cause for Cause Marketing. You can search for it right in Google. It should come right up for you. And if you scroll down here, I actually have a case study of a partnership between the Arthritis Foundation and Massage Envy that I think would interest you, because I kind of go through this checklist and talk about whether or not this was a good partnership for Massage Envy and the Arthritis Foundation. So you can find that right on my blog.
Thanks, Joe.
Yep. So I kind of, you can tell I created this slide at night when I was creating something sweet. But what you're really looking for here is the foundation of picking the right cause marketer begins with a cause that you really care about and targeting a cause with a strong group of supporters. And then a strong emotional message is the, is the whipped cream on the top here. And then at the very top, if we can play matchy-matchy, if we can play Garanimals, that's the cherry on the top. And that's how to pick the right cause. But don't forget to start with the ice cream, because that's where the action is, right?
Hey, Joe, if there's even one person on the call who does not get the Garanimals reference,
oh, yeah, right.
I will have not done my job. Can you help?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I'm sorry I didn't mention that, and I actually explained that in the post too. Is when Robert and I were growing up, albeit on different parts of the country, our moms would buy us mix and match clothes, so that a giraffe for a pair of pants would go with a giraffe shirt, and so Garanimals have been around for a long time. I think you and I, Robert, we still use Garanimals, right?
Oh, when I'm not wearing my Superman underwear, that's for sure.
Yeah. So so I think there's a lot of opportunity there, anyways. But that's what Garanimals are. So that's what I'm talking about, folks, when I do that. Great point, Robert. Okay, so we talked about what is cause marketing. We made the business case. We talked about picking a cause. Here we go on 3 ways to get started with cause marketing. Now, if you run a consumer-focused business that has a register, okay, so these are for businesses that have registers in their business, checkout lines, you can use something like pinups. Now, I don't know how many people are familiar with pinups. I'm sure we've all been accosted at the register, people asking us for $1 or $2 to support great causes. But pinups are paper icon programs, and I've got 3 examples here. One from muscular dystrophy, which is kind of the granddaddy of pinup programs. One that I used to do at Boston Medical with a local chain here. And St. Jude and Chili's, the Creative Pepper that they have every year, which is part of a $50 million campaign on behalf of Chili's for St. Jude. So pinups are, the action is at the front. It's at the register. The cashier is asking the question, do you want to donate $1 to? And consumers donate $1 or $2. These campaigns run for 2 to 6 weeks, and they frequently include pinups, but not always, okay, because they're really moving toward credit card ask on the machine. So after you swipe your credit card, there's an ask there. And as a matter of fact, on my blog today, I have examples of just that, of asks from consumers on credit card terminals that you can check out. And I talk specifically about registered programs. And a couple of examples here of pinup programs. First of all, one of the most successful ones I heard of recently is Lowe's Home Stores and Muscular Dystrophy raised over $7 million with pinups in their stores. So these programs can be very lucrative because they target the customer and you're only asking them for a small amount. A lot of people say yes, you raise a lot of money. But another great example is Menchie's frozen yogurt. We don't have Menchie's yet here in Boston. Maybe they're in your neck of the woods. But they did a partnership at their 200 locations with MDA and they raised $250,000 for the organization. Another great example of, and you can check this out. As a matter of fact, one thing I did want to show you right now is I want to go to my Pinterest boards. I don't know how many of you are involved in Pinterest, but it's a great place to curate programs and information, and that's exactly what I've done for cause marketing. So when I talk about things like pinups, I include that in something that I call point of sale, and point of sale is anything that happens at the register. So when you go to Pinterest, and Lauren is going to include this information when you get the slides, but if you just type in pinterest.com/Joe Waters, there are a bunch of examples here of pinup programs that you can check out. Okay, all sorts of different programs. Here's one from TJ Maxx, Give a Dollar program. Here's actually one that I did in Boston at Boston Medical Center as part of an event that included coupons. And this is upside down here, but people would sign their name to it and then they would walk away with the coupon. So there's all sorts of examples here of these types of programs. So when I talk about these pinup programs, you have a lot to choose from. One of the most successful.
I just wanted to emphasize this thing. I mean, you know, sometimes if you read a press release about a cause marketing, launch, or if you go to a website from a brand about their cause campaign, sometimes it feels like these things are the only cause campaign that ever existed.
Right.
What you're showing is that, wow, not only are there lots and lots and lots of examples, but there are categories of examples, that there's a whole sort of literature of cause marketing out there that people can learn about. And I think, Joe, you've done a great job of pulling it all together in a way that, frankly, I don't think exists out there, which is excellent. So I just wanted to reinforce that point for our listeners, that when they're thinking about cause marketing as a program idea, there's a whole library here that Joe's put together of real-world examples.
Yeah, and we only have time for 3 ideas today, Robert, but there are a lot of other types of examples to go through this. And one of the things folks may be interested in too, Robert, is I actually have organized some of the cause campaigns by holiday. So if you click here and go to my cause marketing Christmas board, you can just see the ones associated with Christmas. You can see the ones associated with Thanksgiving, whatever holiday. So there's a lot of different kind of variations on this that people can take advantage of. But these are great programs. And what's good about, one thing that, Robert, that people should remember about Pinterest too, is when you click on these images, it takes you to the site from which I pinned the image. So a lot of these images are just not images. They're part of articles and content and research and case studies that can give you a lot of great information about how to do these programs. So the next step here in talking about pinups, one of the things that I wanted to talk about was employee engagement. So if we have an idea for consumer-focused businesses, businesses with cash registers in the form of pinups, a lot of B2B businesses will come back to me and say, well, Joe, what can we do we don't have a cash register that we can do a pinup program with, but how can we get involved with causes? In many instances, it's about getting your employees and your customers involved in employee engagement, and this can take a lot of forms. We're all familiar, more or less, with the Habitat for Humanity projects and people that can volunteer and take advantage of those things. One of the things that, and Robert and I were actually talking about this last week, that we really love is when businesses and employees and customers work together on a project. And this was the case with Which Wich sandwiches. I don't know if you have Which Wich in your area. They're not here in Boston.
We not, unfortunately.
I know. I've heard great things about them, and they do some great cause-related programs that you can check out on their site. But one of the great things they did was their customers decorated their signature bags with all these patriotic things, and then Which Wich employees stuffed them with all these different goodies that they in turn shipped abroad to troops overseas. So what a great program that involves a business, its employees, and its customers in helping an organization. And this is an organization too that has a storefront too, that they could have easily just done something at the register, but they chose to do something with their employees.
Yeah, a couple of other quick examples. I know Levi's 501 Day was famous for a while with that, and I know REI also does some stuff involving both employees and also members of REI. So it's great to see those integrated campaigns.
Yeah, I mean, and of course, a big thing that companies can do is get involved with causes in terms of raising money with run, walks, and rides. I mean, there's just a lot of and everything else that you can possibly think of out there. I mean, one of the things that we did, Robert, in Boston is we would get 60 Boston Marathon numbers every year, and we would focus those numbers specifically on B2B clients that we had, B2B partners, because we knew we had programs with the business consumer people that we could push. But what could we do with our business-to-business customers? What could we do with real estate firms and architectural houses and accounting firms and all those different people? And what we did was we had them raise money through our special events program, specifically around runs, walks, and rides. So I think that's really important that all these nonprofits that businesses are going to be looking at, all of them have some type of event, and probably a participatory event that you can get involved in. And the great thing on something like this too, which I wanted to highlight, and this kind of spans to our next point too, is the idea of using digital platforms like Facebook to share with consumers the things that your employees are doing. And that's what we have here with Prometheus, is that what they did was they broke their company into different regions, and then they competed against one another, and they reported this information right on their website. This is actually an application that Cafe Give developed. You can check them out at cafegive.com. And another example of this too is Alaska Credit Union. Doing something, chronicling things on a map to show people specifically where their employees were engaged and the things that they were doing to support the community, which makes it very tangible for people. And again, this was all happening on the principal page that they had here, Facebook, which of course for many of us is our main page that we really want to share with people, and the page that these people are most active on.
These are great. I love how these last couple of examples really reinforce the importance of storytelling and also, describing the impact of a campaign and the impact of giving. I think a lot of people forget that the fundamentals of inspiring people to be involved apply in a cause marketing program. Similarly, if it was just a nonprofit out there trying to engage supporters in their own mission. So I love seeing that impact happen.
Yeah, and I think that that's the opportunity too. And this was actually in this conversation, Robert, leads into this good slide here. And this is the president of Ann Arbor Bank. They have 6 locations in Michigan, and for their 15th birthday, this gentleman wanted to do something different. Well, one of the things he did was he looked at his Facebook page and he said, right now we have 200 people on our Facebook page. So in working with an agency in his area, he wanted to do a program that would celebrate their 15th anniversary and also support and grow their numbers on their Facebook page so they could have an engaged, viable Facebook page, because he saw the value of that. So what they did was they actually created a campaign, a contest, and what they did was they gave away $70,000 to organizations in their area, but they let their Facebook fans pick those organizations, okay, and who got the money. And look at how much this guy that started off with a page, a Facebook page of like 200 people, almost 19,000 people there, Robert, that are now engaged with the Bank of Ann Arbor in this contest. And one of the things that we see with people now, with employees and with customers, is that they want to be engaged in the process. They want to be the ones picking who gets the money. And this is something that this bank empowered those people to do, and people rewarded them with support and with likes and engagement on their Facebook page.
Hey Joe, this is a great opportunity to ask. We had a caller, Jamie, wrote in and said, does this stuff really drive sales? And I think when we were showing me this Facebook page, I'm thinking, great, they just got a lot of likes. How has this really impacted their business? I know it's a long conversation, but real quick, can you summarize in about 3 sentences, what's the relationship between cause marketing and sales?
Well, I think, what people are realizing about cause marketing is it's one of the important drivers that get people to buy. It's one of those things that people consider. And so, a lot of times businesses will say to me, they'll say, well, gee, Joe, if I just focus on cause marketing, will I get more sales? And my answer is no. But if you focus on cause marketing and the other things that you should be doing to drive sales, the answer is a resounding yes. Because what we know with cause marketing is it complements and enhances all these other things. If you were a new business owner and you were just coming into business and you wanted marketing skills, marketing things to focus on, I wouldn't tell you to focus on cause marketing. I'd have you focus on other areas and then add cause marketing, because I think it is a great way to drive business with all those other tools that you have. But we should remember that cause marketing isn't a standalone strategy, just as Facebook isn't a standalone digital strategy. You have to have all those additional outposts, all those other things that you do, and that's the opportunity. The good news on something like this, and Robert, I know this week you were involved in a conference we're just south of you, and this whole conference is focusing on mid-sized businesses particularly, and how they're involved with causes and doing good deeds and building better businesses.
Yeah, that's the Business for Better conference down in Anaheim. People can follow that on the web.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this is, so the Facebook example, when we look at this, see the good thing about when we look at Facebook is I'm kind of using that as kind of a placeholder for these different programs, because to kind of go back to these social media programs, there are a lot of different programs that you can do on Facebook and other ones. Here's one from Firehouse Subs. Okay, if you post a picture on their Facebook page, or use the hashtag #BucketSavesLives on Twitter, Instagram, or Pinterest, they're going to donate $1 to help first responders better protect and save lives. Because Firehouse Subs, of course, was started by a group of firefighters, right? So, there's a lot of opportunities out there to use digital programs to raise money with your causes. The caveat, though, Robert, that I would add for these programs, though, which is so important, is it's important to already have an existing digital presence, okay? A lot of businesses or nonprofits will come up to me and say, hey, Joe, I've got 25 people on my Facebook page, and my business partner that I want to do a program with has 25. Can we do a Facebook Live promotion? Can we do one of these programs? Probably not. Because you need a basis, you need something to start with. And, the way Bank of Arbor did that is they had a couple hundred, but they also seeded their program with $75,000 that they were giving away. So there's a couple different ways that you can come at this, but it shows the importance of growing your digital profile, because in the years ahead, this is where cause marketing is going to happen. We're not going to see as much of the purchase triggered or the point of sale or the register programs that I've been talking about. Most of the programs will be driven by digital and mobile. Okay, so in terms of free resources, that I wanted to mention to you, some things that you can take advantage of. First of all, on my blog, I have a whole section on getting started with cause marketing. Okay, so if you take a look at that page, it has all sorts of information, examples of great programs. You get my best picks for the past 5-6 years or something in terms of the cause marketing programs that I liked, basic programs on how to do pinups or purchase triggered donations. And of course, you can stay in touch with me every week through my Wicked Good newsletter that you can sign up for my blog. And also notice over the Getting Started section that there are no fewer than, 6 different ways to get in touch with me. So if you have any questions, you can tweet me, you can comment on one of my pins, you can go to one of my Facebook pages, you can email me, you can talk to me on LinkedIn. There's all sorts of ways that you can get connected with me. But the most important resource that I want to leave you with is the Pinterest resource. Again, pinterest.com/Joe Waters. There's just lots of examples there of great programs that you can take advantage of. And like I said, a lot of those images link to articles that will educate you further about how to execute these programs. And again, anything that you saw today will be on my blog, and you can find more information on it.
Great. Well, Joe, that was a tour de force of cause marketing.
Woof, that was a lot for just a short time, I'll tell you.
Thank you. And we have some great questions which continue to come in. Before we go to some questions, I wanted to just talk a little bit about something I mentioned earlier, which was distinguishing between cause marketing campaigns that encourage people to donate versus cause marketing campaigns that encourage people to give time. Now, we know that giving time and giving money are often two ends of the same spectrum of care. I just wanted to address a few things from our experience at VolunteerMatch for those people on the call who are thinking about campaigns that may involve volunteerism. We have had anywhere from 25 to 35 partnerships over the years with different brands. Right now, I've asked Lauren to put on the homepage of a program that we're currently working with the NFL on, their Play 60 campaign, which encourages adults to go out and volunteer around health and play and athletic-related nonprofits using all kinds of skills. And I wanted to point out a few things about giving time. One is when it comes time to create a campaign, it's a little bit more complicated when it comes to giving time. Money, of course, is the great equalizer of transactions. It's easy to, there's any number of vendors out there that will help facilitate a gift. But when it comes to giving time, you really do need to have nonprofits on the receiving end who are ready to accept that time and have opportunities ready to go for volunteers. So I encourage marketers and other folks who are thinking about cause marketing campaigns to really think through, are the nonprofits ready, willing, and at capacity to handle your volunteers? Because a volunteer who comes to a nonprofit that's not ready for that volunteer is less likely to have a great experience. Secondly, we know from research that we've conducted as recently as 2009 with Fidelity Charitable Investments that the relationship between giving time and giving money is very fluid and also very clear, that people who volunteer on average tend to donate as much as 10 times as much as people who don't volunteer. So we do think that there's something there in campaigns that encourage people to give time first as a way to really create and kick off a relationship that will end in the long term with a much, much greater level of financial investment as well over time. Thirdly, I think when it comes to really donating money, it's transactional, as I mentioned. When it comes to donating time, what we've seen over the years has been that connecting volunteers with choice, with something that they are personally passionate about and that they personally want to do with their time and skills, is so much more important than just directing them to any old volunteer opportunity. And when we look at the NFL example, as you can see, the NFL folks are promoting a whole range of volunteer opportunities for people who want to get involved in their communities. So that, connecting people with choice when it comes to giving time is so important for helping them take the first step towards involvement. And then I also wanted Lauren to bring up another campaign that we're working with. This time it's United Health Group, the large health management organization. In this case, they're using VolunteerMatch's platform in order to engage consumers all around the country in health and wellness-related volunteer opportunities, something that aligns very well with United Health Group's own focus and business capability as a healthcare provider. So these are just two examples of campaigns that we've worked closely with brands on that are aligned around their focus as a brand, that also engage people around choice to give time. Finally, both of these campaigns are bringing people to nonprofits that have real needs for those volunteers, which is that first thing that I mentioned. So thanks for giving me a few minutes to talk about those issues. And let's turn it over for a few questions. We're flipping over right now to the question board. And one question that came in was stories or ideas for how advertising agencies can take leadership in driving cause marketing with their clients. So I'm assuming this is an ad agency that sees an opportunity for their clients. How do they bring that up with their clients? How do they bring those ideas to their clients? What role do agencies play? I thought maybe we could turn that over to Joe. Joe, do you have some insights on that?
Well, I think, it's interesting too, because that one of the things I do is I work with a lot of agencies on cause marketing programs, because a lot of times they have the branding and strategy expertise, but they need someone who can bring in the tactical side. And what I think is really important for the agency is to make the program real and tangible and lucrative for either their nonprofit or their for-profit partner. So it's really important that they show them like how this would, how is this executed at the, the grassroots level, the ground level. And I think a lot of cause marketing is people comparing, these huge programs with large nonprofits and businesses and stuff, and we're not seeing those things done with small businesses and mid-sized businesses. And that's one of the advantages, Rob, with all my boards and all the things on my blog is a lot of my information is focused on mid-sized businesses and nonprofits and how they can execute realistic programs that raise money for their organizations.
Great. And then we had another question come in that was asking really about some of the regulatory issues. Are there other issues around the licensing or requirements from state to state about ventures between nonprofits and brands as they engage in a campaign together? I have not heard of any such thing, but Joe, I wondered if you have some insight into some of the regulatory landscape issues related to cause marketing.
Well, it's definitely coming more. Cause marketing is definitely becoming more under scrutiny by consumers and attorney general's offices. And what I always advise people is to look at, and talk to the attorney general's offices in their states so that they can learn about the rules that govern co-ventures. That being said, New York's Attorney General last year issued some good guidelines. Again, you can learn about this on my blog, where they talked about, and I mean, a lot of it, Robert, is really basic and common sense stuff. Like what we have to get away from in cause marketing partnerships is a portion of proceeds will benefit animal causes, in your community, and it's like, what animal causes, how much, and what community. And, these are the things that the Attorney General's office, specifically in New York, are asking people to define much more clearly. Where is the money going? How much is going there? Which organization is it going to? When will the money go to the organization? So, transparency is becoming really important.
And then I think, Joe, related to that, does the money tend to come to the nonprofit in the form of, a philanthropic check, or what are the other ways in which the money actually flows to the nonprofit organization? And I think that's part of the consideration of the question.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of, it generally comes from the company. You know what I mean? They'll cut you a check. But remember, in cases with like pinup programs, the company is not they're just handling the consumer's money. It's not a deduction for the company. So, when that comes from the company, what they do on their end is they calculate all the money that was given to the program, and they can do that easily these days because we use barcodes on back of pinups and access codes. And as a matter of fact, on Razoo today, I talk about Razoo.com. They have a blog, Robert. I talk about ways to track register programs. So if you were particularly interested in the register program I was talking about today and doing pinups, I have 4 different ways that businesses track that money and then send it to nonprofits.
Great. Well, we're going to, I've asked Lauren to go ahead and share the URL of Razoo.com with the audience so they can check that stuff out.
Yeah.
So we're coming to the end. We're coming to the end of the program here. Joe, is there anything else that you'd like to share at this time? You've covered a lot of ground for the audience.
Well, I think one of the things that might be really interesting for people is the first board on Pinterest is I have pinned, I don't know, it must be 60, 70 different promotions right now that are benefiting the victims in Boston. And I would really encourage people to look at those and to judge for themselves what they think of those promotions and note the kinds of promotions that are popular and that are raising a lot of money. Because they range everything from jewelry to T-shirts to pinup programs at local businesses like supermarkets and banks, etc. And if you go to my Pinterest board, it's the first board supporting the victims of the Boston Marathon bombing. And so there's a lot of great examples there of just in 2 weeks, all these cause marketing programs that have popped up to support the victims. So not only do we have $27 million donated to the One Boston Fund, but we have all these businesses that are doing all these great things to support the victims in their own way and give people an additional way to support them.
That's a great reminder, Joe. I think, unfortunately, disasters, whether man-made or natural, are not going away. And for brands to be informed about how to engage audiences around the cause of disaster relief or recovery is sort of a tool that brands always need to have available because you just don't know when something might happen. Yep. So good reminder on that. Well, with that, I'm going to turn things over to Lauren, who's been excellent in helping us through this and making sure Joe and I don't trip all over each other. Thank you so much, Lauren.
Yeah, well, thank you both to Joe and to Robert for joining us this morning and for the interesting conversation. I really think that, I'm personally, I feel like cause marketing is one of my favorite parts of corporate social responsibility in general, and it's always interesting and wonderful to have Joe on a call with us. And thank you to Robert and Joe for adding a little bit of humor to today's chat as well. So just a few reminders for people. In addition to Joe's great resources, we also offer a few free resources in addition to these monthly webinars for you to stay up to date on news and trends in the space. So we would definitely invite you to visit our Volunteering is CSR blog, as well as following us on Twitter at BM_solutions and signing up for our monthly Good Companies newsletter. We'll be announcing the May version of our monthly Best Practice Network webinar series soon, so stay tuned for that. And thank you again to everybody who called in this morning and to Joe and Robert for joining us on the call.
Thanks, everyone.